Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of MProper Mimi. I am your host, Miss Mimi Jax, and I have a wonderful guest with us today, Jeremy Keith Hunter. He is a fabulous man that I've met within like a few months ago, and he's got this wonderful play. Thank you for sharing that. It just kind of blew me away, and it just even opened up, my mind of thinking about Black men and Black women and we talk a lot about the struggles that women go through, but it's interesting to hear also what the men are going through, and then how we can support them, and then how they can support us. And then that's a topic too, like, do we really support each other? Like, what's going on these days? So Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. Please tell us a little more about yourself and what it is that you do that you love so much.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. What a wonderful introduction.
Definitely.
I was flexing, you know what I'm saying, on this side over here. I'm like, you better tell it. You better talk to it. But
Exactly.
yeah, actor, artist, awesome guy. One of the things I really love about theater making is the connection to the audience and the actor on stage, or
Mm-hmm.
the director and the actors on stage. Having directed and now sitting in the audience and watching what you've put together, all the pieces. There's something really special about that. I didn't discover theater until like the end of high school, but once you get bitten by the bug, you get bitten. And it was my first time like really feeling seen and liberated, and valued individually. I make theater and I love making theater, um, because I love the feeling of connection that an actor
Mm-hmm.
has with an audience, with strangers.
Yeah.
Um, I suppose theater, if you think about it, was social media before social media. You know what I mean? It was the first. It's the storytelling of generations. So,
Yeah.
but there's something about the stillness of having to hear words and
Mm.
feel something. As I explained in earlier, it's the difference between like going to a concert and
Mm-hmm.
like listening to music in your headphones.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, when you have it in your headphones, you can be still. You can hear what the person is saying, and you can register and digest it a little bit differently. It's what soaks in you. You know what I mean? That makes you want
Yeah.
to go see them in concert.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you go to the concert and it's the same music, but you have pageantry and spectacle and flashing lights
Yeah.
that entertains one portion of your brain, but not necessarily the other portion. You know what I mean? And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. Not knocking one or the other, but there's something about that stillness, man. And
Mm.
you're saying something, and somebody has to go, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
When black people are in the theater and they go, they, I've done
I can,
theater, done a lot of theater, and
right.
I love my white folks. They pay good money. They pay good money for theater, and I appreciate you in those big houses. There's
Mm-hmm.
something about a community of black folk sitting in
Right.
the theater and somebody says something or an emotion is felt and it's felt all around you get
You
that
hear that? Mm.
ooh, yeah, oh that's
That,
good,
mm.
that feeds your soul right there. um
Right.
when I
And then
think about
it's something that, you connect in with somebody. Like, we have
yes,
something in common, or I understand what it is you're saying.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, when I think about how we as black people told stories in ancient times around the fire with the drum. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's 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 that. It's getting back to that, and that's why I love doing what I'm
Yeah. And that's also one of the reasons I love interviewing people and doing this podcast. It's sharing our stories.
doing. Yeah.
It's when you hear someone recant something and you can relate to it,
Hmm.
whether it's an emotional thing, or whether it's informative and you're learning something,
Hmm.
it's just reaffirming that everyone, is at their own pace,
Yeah.
but we connect. Like, I may be on the right track. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one who
Yeah.
suffered this or
Yeah.
who's achieved this. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we have problems with achieving things too, kind
Mm.
of feeling like nobody else knows what it feels like to be at the top, or to have surmounted this, mountain.
Yeah.
Just to know that there's other people out there and you're not the only one.
Yeah.
That community is strong. Yeah, gotta share
Yeah,
those stories.
exactly. And this is how the play came about. I think there are a lot of things we as men, as black
Mm,
men, just
mhm.
do not talk about.
Right.
And it's like, no, we got to share
Yeah.
the stories. So yeah,
Yeah. So let's not keep people in suspense. Let's tell them a
yeah.
little bit about thank you for sharing,
Sure.
So we met, a reading of the play and I was impressed and touched by the stories that were shared. There were different men, different characters. They were each representing something different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd love to hear in your own words, like, what is this? Thank you for sharing about. What is this?
So I want you to imagine um, going to like a yoga class,
Mm,
right? And
mm-hmm,
this yogi instructor he specializes in clearing chakras,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So first off, you're gonna lose a lot of black men just because,
You said chakras.
right? And chakras in the same sentence. I'm already going to sleep. However, a lot of men go to like AA meetings,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a very common thing with men. So that's what this play is. It's an AA meeting for a black man's soul. We are
Nice.
clearing out the chakras of the body. We're cleaning out the closets. We're digging up the dirt. We're
Mm-hmm.
putting things to bed. It's like we're gonna put a face and a name to these things, and
Right.
we're gonna talk about them. And you're gonna
Yeah.
feel a certain kind of way, and you're gonna be upset. Some of you, and some of you are gonna be really salty, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But the
Mm-hmm.
longer we don't talk about it, the worse it's going to get. So this is what that is. This is that hard look in the
Mm.
mirror, butt
Mhm.
naked. And I'm telling you, as a 36-year-old graphic designer who sits at a desk
Uh-huh.
all day, my body is not the 20-year-old body that it was no more. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then you got
Uh-huh.
to have that hard conversation. So that's what this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. A little bit of therapy for the soul,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's hard, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you have a partner, that could be hard sharing some of those raw emotions with your
yeah,
partner,
yeah,
much less on stage in front of people, whether it's you or not. Some people they get, you maybe still remember, Mr. from The Color Purple, and you
yeah,
hated him
yeah,
for years, regardless after that. So, separating, the character from who you're seeing on stage, it could be hard,
yeah,
sharing these feelings
yeah,
and stories up on stage.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
That's
how
the
did
goal.
you decide? And maybe we can even share one or two,
Sure.
just a description, but how did you decide which stories were going to make it? Which ones were going to make that cut up there?
So I'll try to be brief with it because that's it was one of my favorite questions that you sent to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it started with the commission and the first stage, a wonderful theater out here in Virginia. They commissioned during the pandemic. They were trying to keep actors working because the pandemic wiped out all
Yeah.
jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Great theater. We're trying to keep actors employed. They commissioned us as writers to like create something, not even
Nice.
for themselves as a theater, but for us as artists, so that we could
Beautiful.
sell it and be doing this process that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I sent them an idea that I had been working on. They were like, "Ooh, this is great." There are like 10 people in this. We were thinking like something solo, like a singular piece. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, all right, let me try something else. And I'm nervous because I done took their money and paid bills with it. So it's like I gotta come up with something.
They got to do something.
They gotta do something. So one night, under the influence of that wonderful Mary Jane,
Yeah.
um, I started writing about myself in a very personal way, but I did
Yeah.
it as a joke because
Mm-hmm.
black men only can take things a certain kind of way. So I kind
Mm-hmm.
of made it as much as I could as a joke. And like the more I wrote, the better I felt, and the better I felt, and the better I felt. And
Yeah.
then by the time I was done with it, I was like, oh wow, this could be like a 5 minute stand up. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? This is kind
Mm-hmm.
of fun. Read it to a few people, got amazing reviews,
Nice.
and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I sent it to them, and I was like, hey, here's the piece. they read it, they were like, "Oh, this is great. Is there more?" Sure, yeah, there's
Of
more.
course there's
Of
more.
course,
This is
there's
just a
more.
sample.
Like, I just wanted to see how you guys felt about this,
Yeah.
and sure enough, they wanted more.
Awesome.
And then that's how the first part of it started.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Everybody else, all the other characters, they and I don't want to get like overly deep, but they came to me. You know, it didn't.
Mm.
I didn't plan it.
Mm-hmm.
They came as themselves, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
Um, I wrote this down. Think of it as connecting with a spirit or a ghost, an ethereal being, as to say.
Mm.
These characters presented themselves to me in a raw, dreamlike fashion, and then I
Mm-hmm.
was able to whittle themselves into, or I was able to whittle their likeness into reality through my own personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
research, and ideas. So that's how all of these characters. I treated them like they were actual people that I was talking to. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
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 So.
And then even for them to come to life,
Mhm.
they're talking to you. They're talking right back to you.
Right. Right. I don't know if I should be concerned or not, but like,
Well, at least they have different names. I think I have at least three personalities
yeah,
myself, and they all have different names too,
yeah,
so
yeah, for sure.
oh my goodness. So I do want to mention like one of the characters,
Please, please.
um and I think this was one of the questions. I talk sometimes about some of my life experiences and being like a survivor of like sexual assault.
Yeah.
And so you think um, of the strength, of a woman, of like the blame that a woman may put on herself. Sometimes you think about, okay, justice, but then um, sometimes, and there's been cases like even, I grew up in Boston and one of my classmates was falsely accused.
Mm,
And just seeing the from his point of view and what he went through and the burden of proof on him to and unfortunately the system didn't play out in his favor
yeah.
and but just seeing how that impacted his life going
Hmm.
forward.
Hmm.
So one of the characters was kind of faced with a as they so often say now, like a Me Too moment.
Hmm.
And I was, and this was like one of the last ones, and I was like, oh, I was getting ready to go, but I was like, wait a minute, I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear, from his point of view, his take on this, and from his point of view in his life.
Hmm.
Um, why do you think that is an important story to share? Yeah, from his
Yeah.
point of view, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So this was one of the harder pieces that I had to write. The character, the chakra that we
Mm,
have to deal with. The name of that chakra is money, power, respect, and it took a really long time for me to get this one out.
mhm,
But essentially, for in my perspective in this play, the question I started with was I've never seen a man say I'm guilty when it comes to Me Too.
mm, mhm,
You know what I mean? Now,
right.
like you said, I've seen instances where allegations were false or exaggerated or embellished, and things happened as they happened, and I totally agree. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
that those things have happened, but usually the man is proclaiming his innocence throughout that entire process, right?
yeah,
I thought it would be incredibly interesting to hear, especially from a man who other men would look up to, redeem, defend in a heartbeat.
right.
You know what I mean?
Try to preserve his
Right.
image
Try to
and
preserve his
mhm,
image, his
mhm,
legacy, as it were. To hear his experience,
mhm,
and then to hear how he got to that experience, which is
mhm.
again another thing that men don't talk about, the the time
Yeah,
from boyhood to manhood, those
mhm,
teenage years of awkwardness, and where you're making huge mistakes with the opposite sex, but we all kind of sweep that under the rug, and we were we were like Jesus, 12 to 30. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's no
Mhm.
in between story.
Mhm.
Um, to hear someone like that say, my actions have caused this, I regret this,
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Right.
You know? I think
Yeah.
that's a story that men should see, should hear, should talk about, be triggered by, you
Mhm.
know? Um,
Absolutely. I mean, because they may not have an example of how to get, not how to get out of that situation, but how to acknowledge that situation. For a man to say, "Yeah, I did that," you know, and to own up to it,
mhm.
they may not know how to own up to that. They're like, because society teaches you that you see what you want, you go get it.
Mhm.
Like she knew
Mhm.
what she was here for, or and in different instances, rape could be definitely physical, but it
Yeah,
could be a mental or power control that you have over someone.
yeah,
A lot of times, it's like, oh, the woman has to say no. The woman may be scared and
yeah,
like she's using body language or she's using, you know, whatever she can to try, to get away. So, even just for us teaching or exposing our men to um, different situations,
yeah,
and again, how to even visualize like, oh, if I'm in this situation, what am I going to do? What can I say? Or what can I acknowledge as my part in it as well?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I would be. I'm intrigued to. We did a beta test, and
Mm-hmm.
we focused on two characters because they involve a very not diverse, dynamic way of audience interaction. And those
Right.
characters are Chain and History and Money,
Mm-hmm.
Power, Respect, who we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
And unintentionally, I think we triggered one of our audience members,
Mm-hmm.
um, because of A, the subject matter,
Right.
and B, hearing a man confess and say, I did this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or as it's put in the context of the play, my actions helped contribute to this. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think if I would have written I did this and I feel bad, the men would all ride. There'd be I'd never get anywhere with it. So I had to
Right.
be a bit more nuanced than I think may
Right.
have been called for. But
Yeah. And
yes,
and that's, a skill in itself of being able to get to know the character.
yeah,
I mean, this is not a long period of time. This is not
yeah,
your best friend from 20 years ago. You you may relate this character to someone but the ability to create a character that you could get to know in a short amount of time and then get into, like his story, like you say, you can't just jump right to the end and be like, yeah, yeah, I did it. But yeah, to understand his situation, where he's coming from, his
yeah,
feelings, and then you kind of connect with the character and then you hear what he's saying. I think time and time over again, you get that. And, thanks for sharing. And there are how many we said? Were there like 10? How
So
many
there are
characters?
seven.
Seven.
There's
Seven.
one for each chakra.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and starting from your balls all the way up to the top of your head. There's one for each chakra.
Yeah, one for each chakra.
Yeah.
Man. And I really would encourage, if you guys are able to definitely get out to get to see and experience the play for yourself. And and I think even as we talk about like sharing their stories, it also brings back, to me the interaction or the connection between men and women.
Mm,
Yes, it's all men and it's, telling their stories. But I think there's something not just for the healing of men, but for healing of women also to engage in that exchange of stories, being witness or bearing witness to it also. How do you think like your women audience, or that they may, what do you hope that they may take away from Thank You for Sharing? Or
so
are they a target audience? Because it could, I mean, yeah, your audience may be purely, brothers.
this is true. This is true. The intention was a sausage party. You know what I mean?
No DMP ratio here.
You know, because it's honest to God, the intention is
Hmm.
it's things that I've experienced that I think other men have experienced, and it's like, guys, it's not that women can't come, but it's not
Hmm.
about women. It's about
Yes.
you doing your homework to being a
Hmm.
better person. Um,
Nice.
and I fear um, that by trying to open ourselves up to it being other than what I set it out to be,
Hmm.
things can get lost in translation. To that point,
Mm.
you had an amazing question
Hmm.
about whether or not we can support each other, and I sent you a clip that's
Hmm.
from Denzel Washington and
Yeah.
Spike Lee and Malcolm X,
Hmm.
and for just to give a brief description, it's Malcolm is traveling to a university with the other men of Islam, and he's going to give a lecture. And
Hmm.
a student, young white woman, approaches Malcolm and asks what she can do to help further his cause, as someone who wants to support, as an ally,
Hmm.
who doesn't believe in what her ancestors may have been in, those that were a part of it, and she just wants to know what she can do to help. And Malcolm has a very cool, calm, cold, but direct response. And he looks at her and he goes, nothing. And he just keeps on walking.
Hmm.
And to me, that resonates so much because black women need healing, black men need healing. This we
Hmm.
can agree on.
Hmm.
Can we support each other and be there as an ally, as another figure to bounce off of? Absolutely. But that does not negate you doing your work and me
Hmm.
doing my work.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
to me, the
Hmm.
best way I can support my woman, you
Hmm.
know, is to be the best I can be. That's the best
Right.
communicator. You know what I mean? To be the most patient, to give her as many chances as I feel I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's it's not that women aren't allowed. I want women to
Hmm.
come and see the humanity in men again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I want you to come and see that we are more than just anger or, you know,
That y'all ain't shit,
yeah,
like.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's not it. That's not a good look. That's not a good
Yeah,
look.
that's not what we're going for.
That's
Right,
not
right.
what we're going for. It's
It's funny.
2024.
Right, yeah.
Right.
It's funny. There's like two things. So one with the clip you sent, I was like, yeah, there's nothing the white woman can do to help the black man in his plight. But then I was like, that don't mean that's not talking to me.
That's facts.
But you're right. Like
Yeah.
there are limitations. This is not a mother son, dynamic that we're talking about. We're not, sometimes women will say they're not trying to teach a man or raise a man or anything.
Mhm,
It's the work we need to do for ourselves to heal ourselves
mhm.
is what we have to do for ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, we don't want to enable or to become a crutch for our partners. And it's a hard balance, because I know a lot of women are nurturing and they may want to help and may want to tell you what to do or what they think you should do, or which is equally comes
Yeah.
back at me myself too. My partner will be like, you may want to work on this, or you need to work on that. And instantly a wall may go up or defensiveness goes up. But I think as we mature and we get to, a certain point in our lives, we realize that, okay, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I have been hurt, and
Yeah.
maybe there are some things that I do consistently as a result of that. Okay, I can work on that myself. You
Hmm.
can't tell me what to do. I can remember when my mom would tell me to clean my room. I'm not cleaning my room. I clean it when I want to clean my room. I may not say that to her face,
Yeah.
but I never liked being told what to do. I
Right.
wanted to do it myself,
Right.
so definitely the support can be there, but
Yes.
not, um, I can't do it for you.
Right.
You can't do it for somebody
You
else.
can't do it for somebody else. That's
Right,
absolutely right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did at times even feel like I was eavesdropping, you know? I'm like, am I in the barber shop? I'm
You
like, I
are,
don't.
yes.
I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to
Yes,
hear
you
all of
are.
these
No,
things.
no, no. Oh,
It's like
yes.
it's like when I would watch Mary Jane. I'm like, what the hell is this girl doing? She's telling everybody our business. She's like
Business.
letting them into our thoughts and our
Mhm.
like worries and concerns. And I'm like, you're putting it
Yeah.
out there for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it was really I loved it. You guys could clearly see that I enjoyed myself.
That's
you
what's
know.
up. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that you hit the nail on the head, and I appreciate you for saying it. But it should feel like you're sitting in the barber shop. Um,
Uh-huh.
it should feel like you're in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It should feel like you're at a strip club. You know what I mean? It's got that feel. There is something
mm-hmm.
in this play for almost every facet of Black masculinity.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Healthy,
Mm-hmm.
struggling,
Mm-hmm.
achieving,
Mm-hmm.
dangerous,
Yeah.
all of those different chakras, like you said, from top to bottom. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's digging deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, and even outside of the work that we must do for ourselves, the healing that we do for ourselves, partnership, that, okay, you want to do this, I'll maybe stay home, watch the kids, or maybe even watch the parents,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
sometimes, we have childless relationships and, we've got elders that we're taking
Mm-hmm.
care of, so,
Mm-hmm.
in all of that and helping and supporting each other. I often talk about empowering women,
Yeah.
whether it's, other episodes we've talked about, it could be salary inequities, or it could be, um, the freedom to maybe you want to dance burlesque, or maybe
Yeah.
you're a sex worker, and sex work is work. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that our rights need to be stomped on or that we need to be oppressed. So, we want to empower women to encourage them to, be the most that they could be in all
Yeah.
things, right? Is there a way that you think that men also in this struggle can help to empower the women that are in their lives?
I think to better support women, you have to have the ability to listen.
Mm,
And this
mm-hmm.
goes back to the allyship conversation.
Yeah.
I see a lot of, and it's my fault
Mm.
because the algorithm has gotten me attuned to it. But my YouTube has the relationship advice, and I realize that I don't like the relationship advice. I just
mm-hmm.
like the reactions that people are having to the bad relationship advice.
Straight to the comments.
Right, right, right. I skip through a lot of what they're saying just so I can get to
mm-hmm.
the reaction of, oh wow, the spectacle of that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's my my wife Ashley. She watches the Real Housewives, and
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
why do you watch this garbage? This is such trash. And the other day she was like, why do you watch MTR or Kevin Samuels? I was like, that's not the same thing. And she just looked at me. She's like, it's not the same thing. So
mm-hmm.
I think having an honest heart to listen to someone,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it goes both ways, but for
Yeah.
men to women, you need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to hear a woman's experience, say I hear you, I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're saying, and despite the fact that I may disagree, I respect that this is your opinion on things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now
Right.
that may for you as a man, depending on where you are, that may have to be the end of the conversation because you have to set a boundary. You know what I mean, or whatever. I
mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but
Right. Yeah.
but, but it all begins. Everything begins with communication and
Yeah.
talking and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this play is about talking. Um,
Yeah.
in our relationships, we have to talk. Lack of communication is what kills relationships.
Yeah.
And then you start assuming things, and so now you're creating a narrative in your own head, which not
Oh
may not
yes.
even be Right? You,
I'm like, I've had a whole conversation in my head. And so by the time that we speak, I'm like, well, there's nothing to be said because
this
it ain't gonna matter anyway. I already know how this is gonna play out.
I already know how this go. I just got to the debate, and you're at the closing arguments.
Oh
So
gosh.
I think for men, especially now in this YouTube era, where you have these Andrew Tates, these Fresh and
Mm,
Fits, all these guys who are telling you you need to have A, B, C, D, E, and F going into this conversation. And
hmm.
it's like, where's the room for another person's perspective if you have all of this stuff that you have to have, or that you already have listed out? It's like you have to be able to talk and communicate. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, communication.
Communication is, yeah, I absolutely agree. When you said listen, I'm like, that is such a strong, sexy, attribute,
Yeah.
because, eh, and probably for both of us, men and women, because it's whatever we go through during the day, you
Yeah.
want to come home to your sanctuary, be
Mm-hmm.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to get off your chest what happened to the day,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe, I know for me, sometimes I have to process
Ooh.
words before I get into it, right?
Yo.
And so if I'm processing words and you're like, what's wrong? What's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on? Tell,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, ah.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I'm maybe overcompensating and
Yeah.
trying to be too nice and not to hurt your feelings. But
Yeah.
other times it's, what do I want to say?
Mm,
How do I feel about
mm.
what it is that's bothering me? I just may know, what do they say now? I got the X, or you give me the
Yeah.
ick, like, I may just know that there's something that just doesn't sit right. But
Yeah.
to put those words
Yeah.
into formation, because I am a very literal person. And
Yeah.
not all women are like that, so it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's thinking like a man, because you guys are try to be more logical and everything, but I'm very
Yeah.
literal. So
Yeah.
if I say something, I want it to be true to what I'm intending to
Yeah.
relate to you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So listening to me, I think listening is a really strong component to communication.
Absolutely.
Um, and being able to have someone, and these relationships we're talking about, it could be brothers, it could be sisters, it could be partners, it could be co-workers, it could be
Mhm.
on your softball team,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's having that comfortableness to be able to communicate. Yeah, some of the women I talk to, um, they know what they're capable of, and
Yeah.
they may just be shy about it, or they
Yeah.
may not just have that push to go forward and do it.
Yeah.
So empowerment can come in all kind of different forms. It could be listening, it could be encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Once you listen and you hear what she's saying, be like, okay, well, what I hear you say is that you want to do this, but
Yeah.
you haven't found a way to do it yet. Maybe
Yeah.
this or maybe that. Or maybe, do you just want me to listen as you think about it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't want a
Right.
suggestion. They don't want that, problem solving that
Strawberry.
men,
Yeah.
love
Woo.
to contribute to. Um, Sometimes it's just a vent, just
Yeah.
listen.
I just want to let you. I just want to tell you what happened today, and just that's it. I don't want you
Mhm.
to fix nothing. I just want to talk about
Right, right. Tell me this and tell me that and tell me this. Well, maybe I
it.
didn't tell you the whole story, so how are you going to tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Which then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, is like, well, you didn't tell me the whole story, so how was I supposed to know that wasn't a good suggestion?
If you would just listen, let me get it out.
Let me finish.
Let me finish. Yeah.
Oh man, absolutely. Let's see. Um, and I think I'm thinking about one of the other questions about, like, and I don't even know, and we may cut that out, and we may or may not even keep it, but like, occasionally women from other countries, maybe the Caribbean or African or Hispanic, they may say, oh, I would never date a man from my country.
Mm,
Or, maybe it's just that they've seen so much and they're like,
mm,
oh, I wouldn't do that or I wouldn't do this.
yeah.
And as we've, kind of been touching on all day, like everyone has a different story and
Mhm.
is in a different place of connecting with themselves. I don't know if you've ever come across that, where people may just be like, oh, I'm not going to, date with, a similar person to my background. I'm going to go to a totally different one.
I hear that a lot
Oh, yeah.
in the men's community. You hear about like passport bros and how guys are going to Eastern countries because women are
Mm,
more quote unquote traditional and so forth and
mm,
so on. Um, and to me, in that same notion, you also hear about guys who are getting robbed and like killed because they're going to countries that they don't know nothing about and
oof.
getting caught up with these women. The grass is always greener when you're not
Mm-hmm.
watering yours. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
Ooh. We say we
so
got to take care of our own grass.
look. You're having a hard time finding a woman with traditional values. Where are you looking in
Mm.
America for these women? Because it
Mm-hmm.
can't be all of America. So and to put more emphasis on that, what type of person are you? Are
Right.
you a traditional type of man? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you do traditional type things, you will find women who are in that area, bro. So
Exactly.
and for women, I'm sure it's the same thing. You
Mm-hmm.
attract who you are. You
Yeah,
know,
what you put out there. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I wouldn't date a so and so man. Okay, you say that until you find one and fall head over heels, and then now I never thought I would have. He
I
didn't either.
never thought.
I
Right.
never would have thought.
Right. But if you're a country girl at heart and then you dating everybody else, but then you find you're a nice little country boy, you'll be like, I never would have thought I would have
Who
settled
would have?
down.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Just like
Uh-huh.
what focus. My my dad told me when I was little, um,
Mhm.
and I didn't, especially when I was a teenager, I didn't want to hear it. But he
Mm.
was like, "Man, be yourself." And when guys hear that when you're young, oh my god, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like, what does that mean?
Mhm.
Myself isn't getting the results that I'm looking for. But at the
Mhm.
same time, that's a good thing. You shouldn't be trying to get this perceived image of what a relationship should be. You should be finding something that works for you. The only
Right.
way to do that is to be yourself because someone
Mhm.
who wants to support you and support the person that you are is going to be naturally attracted to who you are in your
Absolutely.
natural self. So
Mhm.
the thing you're chasing is superficial, essentially. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want you a baddie Instagram, big breast, big booty, BBL. That's what you want. You have that's not who you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not who you were raised to be. Why are you
Mhm.
chasing that? What makes you think that's good? It's because
Right.
society is telling you that. Andrew
Mhm.
Tate is telling you that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
How do you know that you can hold on to that? Don't keep it,
how you
like
go? How you gonna
that's
maintain
not
that, bro?
you.
How you gonna maintain that, bro? How insecure are you
Uh,
gonna be when she's texting other dudes
Constantly. Yeah.
constantly? Because she's getting shot at all the time. Are you comfortable with that,
Right.
bro? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm. You have to be really secure with yourself depending on what you're looking for.
Right.
I know
And,
one person who's like, uh, "Where are we going? Who's gonna be there? Are there gonna be men there?" And I'm like, we're going to have fun. And if you have fun, then someone will see you having fun and they'll want to have fun with
with
you.
you, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you could be on a mission, so maybe we don't go to the shooting range to have fun. Maybe we
Right,
go to karaoke to have fun, but
right,
be yourself. Go to where you want to be. I
right.
mean, for me, it's always worked, and you will attract,
Exactly,
similar who's I mean, because they're there too.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Exactly. They're here. They must do this for fun, or they know someone who's here, and let's chop it up. Take it from there.
There's nothing more exhausting than trying to be something you're not, trying to be something you're
Mm. Mhm. Who's for you is for
not.
you. If you
Who's for
force
you
it,
is for you.
you might get stuck in a situation you don't really need to be in.
So
So
something to
just
think
keep
about,
it
boo
breezy out there, people. Keep it, easy breezy. Be yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, is there anything that, any questions you have or anything you want to share that's on your mind?
Um, I really, really hope everybody comes out and experiences this new level of theater.
Hmm.
As I said in the intro, this play does something really unique in that it engages you on so many levels. Um,
Yeah.
we're going to be live in person. We're going to be streaming, and we're going to be communicating with the audience all at one time. And it's something
Amazing.
that theater is slowly evolving into. But
Yeah.
I think this is the first production where you're going to see it flow so seamlessly and so well that it's just going to completely engage your senses. So
Yeah.
please,
I know a
please come
lot
out.
of people that
Yeah.
I think are going to enjoy this, and I can't wait to share it with them.
Yeah.
Please let us know, how can we find you? How can we find out more information about the play? And when is it?
So, play. Thank you for sharing. It's
Hmm.
going up June 7th. We have it's the workshop for it. So we're hoping that this leads to a much bigger production up at the Lincoln Center. Give us a shout. But it's June 7th at 2 p.m. We're going to be streaming live from the Kennedy Center, from the Reach Center at the Kennedy Center. Um, and yeah, it's amazing. You can follow me on Facebook or not Facebook. Oh, I'm old. You can follow me on Instagram, Mercury2899. And yeah, I'll be posting stuff all the way up until the day of arrival. So June 7th, 2 p.m. Thank you for sharing. Check out my IG.
Awesome. Yes. Well, we'll definitely have your IG and information here in the show notes. I'll definitely be sharing on my Instagram and Twitter as well, so that we can make sure that the people know where to go, how to find you. And I would love to have like even feedback from, like, if you go to the show, if you go to the play, drop us a note. Let us know how it was, whether the brothers, the sisters, the allies that come out and are sitting in the back corner and just listening to hear what we're talking about. Um, we want to hear what you thought about it, how it impacted you, and we want to know how many people you're going to share the information with so they could go see it too.
Please, yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Jeremy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on today. I can't wait to share this with everyone. And like I said, and especially even with the streaming too. So it's
Yeah,
possible for people, my dad in Ohio,
yeah,
yo,
yeah,
Jack.
yeah.
I would love for him to see this too and share with some of his brothers.
Yes, please. Thank you for
Hmm.
having me. This
Yes.
was such a wonderful experience and so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing your feedback for this official workshop, and I look forward to hearing all of your fans' feedback as well. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, that's it for now, everyone. This is Mimi Jax, your host for the Improper Mimi Show, sharing our platform here with some of our friends, and I hope you guys like the new, kind of take on it, because usually we just have women, and I definitely, put Black women up on the platform, but I think this season we are really going to dabble and chat with some brothers and some other friends as well, so that we can get different takes on what's going on out there, and also how we can lend a hand, or how we can learn ourselves, and how we can continue to share our stories. So thank you, everyone. Chat with you soon. Bye.